I bet.
All right, do we need to let anybody back in from the lobby? That's the only thing I was curious about.
3 people entered the waiting room.
Yeah.
Am I on the wrong agenda? There's like nothing.
The second one.
Oh, I thought you put me in the second one the first time. Oh, okay. Because they're both
Right.
but they're different. One doesn't have
Okay, we are back in open session at 7:03 p.m. And we're gonna go right into our consent agenda this evening. Is there a motion to consider?
A motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, Laura, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. George. Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
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 Motion carried 5-0.
All right, I don't have anybody here for patron comment. Do you have anything for anybody online? All right, we'll jump right into reports. Title ELD annual report. Oh, I can do. Heather's here.
Hi. Okay, is Sandra Pinion there?
She's not.
Okay, she had to leave. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and do the report. For some reason, I'm not able to open the meeting on my computer right now, so I'm doing this from my phone. So, okay, so Sandra is doing a fantastic job taking on some of the tasks in our ELD, and she was really wanting to do this report tonight, but she had some things to work on with her son, so she had to leave early. So I will be giving her report. These are her talking points. So she has for this year currently number of ELs that are in the whole district is 5. However, 2 are with Learn at Home, 3 with brick and mortar, and 0 IEP 0 in tag. But she's only working actually actively with 1 student right now. The others are in monitored and opt out. And then let's see. She had 100% of the students showed growth on ELPA over the last 2 years. The last 2 years, 2 students have graduated with proficient scores. Students being monitored. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. Students being monitored this year is 2. So she has 1 in year 1 and 1 in year 2. Let's see. Let me check her next one. She is using the Savvis ELA curriculum. It has a component, we discussed that last year. It has a component that supports her language work with these students. And it is great because then it is relevant to the work that they're doing in their gen ed classrooms. So she has ELD instruction models. Some of them are sheltered instruction. She teaches ELD through integration of language and content instruction. And her goal is to provide access to mainstream content and promote language development. She has worked with the entire staff on the SIOP model, and last year she presented a really wonderful professional development for the entire staff using that model, and hopes to do that again this year. And she's looking forward to more of this work. She's also working on updating the ELD 25-26 plan, and we are going to be submitting that to ODE at the end of the month. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer them. Or if Ms. Pinion might be the right person. My question was about number 9, the number of ELPA students. I think I might have just answered it though, because it said we have 5 students, and this shows that there says 3. Is that because this is historical from several years ago?
Yeah, so yeah, so there's a total of 5 that could be worked, or I'm sorry, let me I think I'm the one who created the confusion. So there are students who are in monitored. There's 2 students who are being monitored right now. That means that they have shown proficiency on the ELPA and they're being supported, but kind of she's able to take a step back. If teachers or the students, for any reason were, needing extra support, then she would be able to provide that support. But since they've already completed ELPA with proficiency, then they're in what's called monitored. And we do that for the rest of the time period, or up to 4 years for the rest of the time period that they're in the school, or up to 4 years. The other student who is a Learn at Home student, their parent has opted out, and that parent has opted out every single year of for ELD services. And that's parents' right to do that, and that's fine. The other one is a student who is in the brick and mortar, and she sees him every Wednesday. And then I think we're missing one student. I will have to get back to you on that. I apologize. So, Yep.
Also a question on number 10, where the students exiting as proficient, it shows 1. Does that because the other ones have not exited the program?
yeah. So one student is 2 years or in their second year past the proficiency on the ELPA. And then the other one just showed proficiency or passed it last year. So they're kind of like one's monitor year 1 and one's monitor year 2. And then the other ones have not, like our kiddo that is online that the parent has opted out, she has also opted out of taking the ELPA completely. She doesn't want him taking the ELPA. And then the student that she works with, and we're missing one student in this from the numbers that she gave. So I'm going to have to connect with her on that.
So I'm just looking at this table, like students exiting as proficient. Like, are there students ever who exit the program who are not proficient? Is there a situation where that could happen?
No, they would need to be opted out, one, or they are gosh, what is the term? Now I'm drawing a blank. There's none of the students who have not shown proficiency that have not passed the ELPA that have exited the program. We don't have any students in the last few years while Sandra and I have been working with ELD. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay. I apologize. That was a little bit
That's
confusing.
good. I wanted to hear that every student's exiting as proficient.
Yes. So back to that. Yes. Every student who goes through the program has exited if they take that ELPA test and we're able to provide services to them. The student in our online program whose parent has opted them out, we don't have that data.
But everybody you guys touch gets proficient.
Yes.
That's what I want to hear.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
No.
that confusion.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Ms. Shunk. We'll
Yes,
hear from you in
absolutely.
just another minute.
Sounds good.
All right. Into our superintendent and K-12 principal report.
Okay, October report. So facilities, the seismic final punch list final meeting is happening tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow at noon. So that'll be great. Finalize those pieces. Schedules and systems, our PLC teams are meeting now routinely. Our intervention team, which is a robust team of many players from the ESD and our staff here, are meeting once a month to really focus on our tier 2 and tier 3 kiddos. And our staff's also diving into personal and authentic, which is a book that really dives into who we are as educators and as humans and how we show up for the kids that we work with. So that's going to be a great study that we do across the year. September 30th, we celebrated our assemblies for K-12 for respect, responsibility, and initiative. Place was packed. It's really fun, lots of energy, lots of prizes, and just celebrated all the hard work that our kids are doing. Let's see. I attended a Wide Open Spaces conference in Bend last Sunday through Tuesday. Phenomenal. Small school, rural school leaders from across the state come together. And we had Dr. Jen Schwamke from Ohio come work with us for 2.5 days. And she was phenomenal, as well as some professors from George Fox. They were great too. But Dr. Schwamke was amazing. She really talked about curriculum. She talked about impact. She talked about who we are, how we create culture in our schools. And I loved her quote, hopeless students borrow hope from hopeful teachers. Hopeless teachers borrow hope from hopeful leaders. So she looked at us and she was like, where do you get your hope? How do you feed that? What do we do? What do we create? What systems are created to make sure that you're bringing hope to every single person that walks into your school? Had some workshops around that, and that was very powerful. On October 10th, our statewide in-service was highly attended. We had some coaches go to boys basketball coaching. We had ST math training here. We had leaders attend the QPR training for suicide prevention. Let's see, we did a lot of instructional non-negotiables, reading and math, alignment, essential skills. I have some shout outs. Mr. Roz, his PE standards and priority skills are mapped out for every grade level, every unit that he does. It's fascinating. And also Mr. Lynch with his art. He has all of those priority standards ready to go. So lots of teachers working on that as well. They just were a little bit ahead and I was impressed. So I'm going to brag on them. And then of course we had our homecoming, which was really well attended and I would say a success. I am going to a SPED directors workshop on the afternoon of the 15th and then all day on the 16th in Eugene. And being the new SPED director, I am taking advantage of every training opportunity I can get my hands on. Instructional rounds will be beginning this next week. So our focus is on student talk versus teacher talk, as well as other Danielson domains. Goals, both a student-centered and a professional, are being set by all staff, not just the teaching staff. It's every single staff member here. I'm asking them to set goals for this year, and we'll meet on those and talk about how to achieve. Diagnostic data from round 1 is complete, and we're working in those PLCs to make sure the ELA and math interventions are in place. Safety drills and practices. Into the reminder, watch the reminder. We've had plenty of opportunities to practice fire drills, and I'm telling you, it's actually great. Our kids are doing wonderful. Our staff's doing wonderful. And they did great on the lockdown drill as well. Tomorrow, we actually have ODE coming here. They'll do a site assessment for the SRP, and then they'll train the staff in the evening for all the protocols for SRP. MAC training took place actually today after school, and that's the Medicaid survey, a way to generate revenue for our school through all of the things that we already do. You just track it and a little bit of extra paperwork on the side, but it's definitely worth it. Business manager interviews been underway. It's exciting. Community engagement, we continue to have a number of opportunities. The next ones coming up will be conferences held on the 30th. It's a half a day for the students, and then the rest of the day until 7 o'clock is conference time. Senior night will then be on the 31st, right before the 7 o'clock game. So those will be some other community events. We also have been set up with the Alsea Public Library to showcase our art. So we have Mary's elementary art, Dave's art, and Mr. Stevens' industrial arts. They're going to be on display at the library, and then in December we'll actually have a night where there's dinner and people can come check out what the kids have created. It'll be fun. The Missoula Children's Theater is also coming to town. Red Riding Hood is going through the production, and we have up to 50 students who can be part of this. Haven't heard a lot about it because I haven't promoted it. I've been doing other things, but that's going to be coming out shortly. And our art class is going to work on some of the props and the backdrops and those kinds of things. And then elementary students can audition and participate. Let's see, and that's kind of a rundown of everything. Do you have any questions?
I had a question on the first page. It's about essential skills, where is it? In alignment with instructional non-negotiables.
Yes.
What exactly are instructional non-negotiables?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, I we had a session with all the staff on what my non-negotiables are for instruction. What does good instruction look like? When you walk in the room, what is on the board for the warm-up? What engaging activity are you doing that gets the kids on task? What are your content standards? What are your learning objectives or learning targets? Does every student in the room know why they're learning what they're learning? What different approaches or delivery channels of instruction are you doing? You cannot just do one. You have to use a variety to meet all the needs of the learners in the room. What formative assessment is happening? There has to be formative assessment so you know if what you're teaching is registering, and if not, what are you going to do about it? And then at the end of every lesson, you need to have some kind of exit ticket. That's the buzzword right now, but basically, what are the kids leaving with? What are they taking away? What's something they don't understand? Do they understand? This could also be the formative assessment. Maybe it's a question they have, further learning that they'd like to do about a topic. These can be sticky notes on a board. They can be the parking lots. They could be a journal entry. It could be a little one-page math question. It could be a million different things, but it's some way to wrap up what was learned and get an understanding, a real quick understanding of who understands it, who needs a little bit more help. And that can then drive your instruction for the next day. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that they're all
just not being an education person. I was like,
Yeah.
why is instruction non-negotiable? It's
Yep.
got to be some sort of term that.
It's a standard.
it's kind of a standard expectation. Yeah.
How we're busy. You mentioned business manager interviews. You actually are interviewing people.
We're busy.
applicants.
Yeah. Yep.
And finally, some of that art up at the library is really good.
Isn't it great?
Just go
Yes.
check it out. I mean, some of them look professional.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Enrollment report. I know that these are always hard this time of year, but anything of significance you want to call out in the enrollment phase?
Well, we are down from last month. We've gained new students. We lost a few, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, we had a couple that had been on the record that actually were not here. Correct. Yes.
But we're down by one.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but
but
yes.
it did. It was like, oh, we have all these new kids, and then we lost a couple. And so I'd say that is pretty common still early on, but of course we want to stabilize and then grow for sure.
Anything on regular attenders you want to hit on?
Oh, yes. At the assembly on the 30th, we celebrated kids who were 90% or more here 90% or more of the time. And I think there were only a handful of kids left in the seats. Like the gym was packed. I think we did certificates for everyone. That is a little more common in the first month of school, but that's still a lot of kids.
There's still been a lot of illness too that's been going around too, so that's pretty good.
It was actually great. And then we did, I do a drawing there were a handful of kids that were at 95% or higher attendance, and no referrals, no discipline trackers, nothing. And those names went in a hat, and I drew 4 elementary and 4 secondary and took them to lunch. So that was pretty fun.
So the numbers that are attached here look like they're from last, like the enrollment numbers match almost exactly the historical enrollment from last year. Not that it's that important for me to look at it. I mean, regular attendance
Oh yeah,
is
there's
important.
239 in the.
It's like we don't have that many kids. So don't spend too much time on it, but noting it. This looks like last year.
I don't know.
Just at the very bottom, your enrollment numbers.
Oh, I'm on a different, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the enrollment report.
Like, note that the regular attenders.
You're on
number
regular attendance.
Is the
Gotcha.
same as.
And
Wow.
this is a Synergy generated report, right, Laura? Yeah, so we'll maybe have to dive into that and make sure it's accurate data. Because it's just pulled straight from Synergy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be just
Mhm.
the wrong year. But well, as long as someone's looking at the right numbers and knows
Yeah.
who's here.
All right, any other questions? Okay. Ms. Shunk, we'll go right into learn at home principal reports.
Okay. So we had our September assembly. I added the slides for you to check through, but we celebrated birthdays, attendance, meeting new friends, new students in our school. And then a tradition that we have are the staff will share their wishes for the students, and that's always really, really wonderful and heartwarming. The other thing is our theme for the year is dream big, and curiosity is our compass. And so all of our students received t-shirts that say and staff, curiosity is our compass. And that was really special for all of the students to receive. During our assembly, we try to make it very interactive. And Stacy mentioned it earlier with the exit tickets, and we do that as well online. We have to be really creative with that. So I included a screenshot of our QR code and the students interacting with that piece and talking about what dream big means to them. And that makes it really fun because as students are in their home, they are very interactive, but also they could be on their couch almost falling asleep. And so we want to make sure that they are really paying attention. That's something that's very central to what we do. So the students know that their active participation in school, in class, in assemblies matters big time. And so we see that engagement. I included our school newsletter for October. And I wanted to mention, because we did this last year and it became a really wonderful tradition throughout the whole year, which are those notes of encouragement that our families will submit so that we can share them during the assemblies and our teachers read them out, and that's just really special. Okay, so let's see. Down below we have our routines that our teachers take a very concerted effort to create the strong routines. And I know these routines are happening. I actually subbed all day for our 2-3 class. And boy, oh boy, I was so happy with what I saw. The students knew exactly what to do, when to do it. And that's how you know that routines are strong, when the students are able to say, hey, this is what comes next. This is where we go for that. Here's how you use this technology. It's really wonderful, and it's amazing what they can do at second and third grade. I included our ELA PLC collaboration and a draft literacy focus that we're working on. We're working again this year with WestEd through the ESD. They're coming to support and observe and provide guidance and extra professional development for our elementary staff. And we had Alicia, I'm going to butcher her last name, Okapareki, last week. She came in, and she she lives in, oh gosh, it's like Chicago area. Anyways, she came a long way and drove all the way out to, she didn't drive from Chicago, but she drove from Portland, and she worked with our staff on last Thursday, observing classrooms, working with Tim and I, and we were able to provide some really great feedback to teachers and are looking forward to doing that again in November. I included the PLC meeting slides if you want to check that out. And our PLC isn't just, one direction professional development. We're really trying to build that capacity for teachers to be leaders in that process. And so we had some presentations. Actually, Sandra did a really great presentation this last one for everybody and shared a really neat platform to increase engagement in lessons and creativity. And that was really wonderful. I also included our beginning of the year iReady, where we are with reading and math for whole school. And it looks like we really need to, we've been doing a lot of emphasis on our reading and foundational literacy. And it looks like this year we really need to, support strengthening our math and building the strength there for our students. Looking ahead, I put in because I wrote this previously. We had Wested, we have our, we had last week on Friday, an informal meetup at Bose Family Farm in Albany. That was just, I mean, I can't even tell you how amazing that was. That was really wonderful. And then we'll do it again this weekend, down here where I am in Medford, with our families in Southern Oregon. So I took the opportunity and threw it out there, and families showed up last Friday and we just had a blast. It was really wonderful. We have our Spirit Week coming up, and then our parent teacher conferences, or I apologize, we're doing October 30th, just like the brick and mortar. And then we have our dress up party assembly on the 30th. Any questions?
Thank you as always.
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
I always love looking at your slides and seeing the kids on the screen and all the fun that they have. I just love it.
I really appreciate that you take the time to do that. It is so much fun to see what they do. And being in the classroom, you please come back in. You are always welcome. I can get you links. It's really fun to have you take part in what we do online.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura, there's somebody in the waiting room popping in and out. I don't know who it is. Okay, but with that, we can move into athletics and the activities. So now Mr. Harris
Is I'm coming home from vacation.
is on his way home from vacation.
Must be, yeah.
I didn't have any questions.
Yeah, just looking over the report, just a couple updates on dates, maybe most specifically with senior night, things
Yeah.
like that for our football players and our volleyball players, and then middle school and volleyball and football as well. And high school basketball begins on November 17th. Okay,
Rolling.
here we go.
I had a question that popped up looking at the financial statement about gate fees, and I was gonna maybe direct it toward our athletic director, but maybe I should have said it. in email. Just the gate fees number is so much lower than,
I don't think they.
This part of the year.
yeah, because
Well, I
there's
don't
not
know
many
that
home
they've been
games. Okay,
collecting.
the projected was so much lower.
We did last year, but I don't think we've seen it. I don't recall seeing any gate
And we've only had
this year.
two
For football.
for football, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that a slow start to home games.
Yeah.
That's what, in my mind, I wanted someone to confirm that that's
Yeah.
what it
Plus,
is.
we have,
Yeah.
if you're looking at financial statements,
Right.
you still have basketball games too.
Right.
But I don't know. I haven't seen a table of volleyball games.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I missed it.
You snuck right in.
You're like,
Well, I'm usually late.
Do up, girl, do up.
I have been
Alright.
late. Some of the time.
Question, if there are questions, do you want them to go through you, Stacy, to
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. With that, Mr. Staley, business manager report.
Well, the financial statements are through September 30th. The audit, the last part of the audit is going to be the week of October 21st. Very minute. We've got everything done. I think it's the final review, and they go through and ask various questions, and then you'll probably begin with the report in November, December. Other than that, we've encumbered all salaries. All benefits are in these financial reports. One thing which is good, part of on the benefits, open enrollment is the month of September, which starts October 1st for everybody. The teachers are in a pool concept, and all the other staff are in a pool concept, their own pool, and everybody had their insurance covered. So, which is a good thing for staff, not out of pocket. In addition, Stacy and I have finished most of the grants as of September 30th. I think we've closed them all out. And I'm still waiting for dollars to come back on the pre-employment transition program to make sure that is in balance, waiting for that for DHS. And then that one is not happening this next year. That was the final year for that one. Looking at the general fund, and you can ask questions as we go through. Remember, these are projections right now. We're only in September, and one thing you have to realize, I tell Stacy and everything because I write emails to the state. I would think that they could provide more current projections, both for 24, 25, and 25, 26. Because remember, we're gonna be going into 26, 27. So, and our next projections aren't coming out until April, but that's what they said, April. So what a district has to do, they have to monitor their student numbers and go through everything and watch it closely and make assumptions. What you'll see in the financial statements, I made an assumption that the IEP's over was good last year, remember? And they switched it 9 months after the fact. And I even questioned them during the time and they said it was good. And then we lost 200 some thousand. But looking at the financial statements, that changed in IEPs has it impacted this year like it did the fund balance. It was a domino effect because we lost those numbers in 2 years. And Alsea is a hold harmless district. In other words, the ADM from the previous year is what we're basing the revenue on, and now we're at the bottom. So when students come in and it goes up, that will be more money to the school district. If they go down, then you'll be based on the previous year again. With that said, I'm projecting that we're going to get about $50,000 more on the 24, 25, which will be next year. I'm not going to bet on it, but I feel comfortable on that. I think the 226,000 is a very conservative number because they will adjust the small school formula. But I'm using the figures that they are projecting right now rather than doing the other and then have it come the other way. I'd rather be on the conservative end. That said, revenues are roughly what we budgeted. We're off 350, and that's mainly due to the beginning cash. And that's a good figure right now. Regarding admissions, to answer your question, Zoran, we budget based on estimates at the time. I work with Brent, and so hopefully these come in a little more, but it's small. What's more important is earning interest on the money. 30,000 a month is more. I mean, that's a good figure. And what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the budget process, we increased the capital projects transfer by 200,000, offset that revenue of interest, because I usually don't budget that much in interest because it's a one-timer. It might go down and you don't want to have cuts due to that interest loss. And it was the board's, I think, direction to do a resolution if they want to transfer that money into a capital project rather than just transferring it over. Am I correct on that? I think that's what we agreed to last year.
I believe so, and then we wanted to keep it at a certain rate, correct? So that
Right.
as we continued
Yeah,
on,
I made that mistake.
we got to,
Yeah, so you have 200,000 in there right now to transfer. It's been approved through the budget, but
we need a
to be
resolution.
transparent, we wanted to do a resolution to have you transfer it over there. And that will happen after I leave, but I don't want it to get lost. Is that okay?
Yes.
Very good. Other than that, as you know, we budget in the general fund and then we transfer people over to grants when we get a better feel on the grants. And so that saves money in the general fund. And that's what we've done for the last 2 years. And if you look there, supplies and various things haven't come in, but salaries are there. You'll notice in 1121, that's in the deficit, because when we go through and we move staff around, one of them was in the home to school, Zetterman, Adam, is in the 6th grade now. So part of his salary is in the middle and it wasn't budgeted that way. He was budgeted strictly elementary. I hope that explains. So you have to move people around based on what they're actually teaching. Another thing that hasn't happened in the financial statements, we haven't got the district's level 2 cost from the ESD yet. That would be the speech, the psychologist, the behavior. So none of those dollars are budgeted in there, and that could be a couple $100,000 or more. So those dollars aren't in there yet either. things come up during the year. Other than that, I think the general fund, everything's encumbered, Bren and Stacy and everything, we encumber them as they go through a requisition process, and I know one thing I said to Stacy today is, prior to me, myself leaving, I'm gonna print off all the procedures we wrote last year. We've gone through, spent a lot of time on them, I don't want her to have to recreate them again. And then she can modify them and use the date on the bottom. This has been modified because as people, whatever systems change and various things, you don't want them to get stagnant. I think they're a process that you just keep reviewing annually, and you have to refresh people that this is how you do it because they go back to their old ways. But I think we're trying to use technology to maximize pencil and paper. Grants. Any question on the general fund? I'm going to go in detail because this is kind of my last board meeting, so I want to make sure Stacy hears these things and everything. Grants, we finalized all Title I, Title II, Title IV, and 207, the pre-employment. Those are all final. Those were ending on September 30th, and we've got all the figures for the grants on there. I think they're very accurate. We've been working on the integrated guidance budgets. I think we have those finalized so that Stacy can submit that, work with the board on what that entails. Stacy and I have finalized the integrated guidance for last year. I saw it was early literacy was approved, and I know the others will be approved too. The only grant that has not been finalized yet on here, which is such a small amount, is the early indicator intervention. They haven't done that one yet. I don't know why they can't do that. That makes no sense, but it's only $600. But anyway, and there's another grant on here that is yet to come through that isn't on there. Is the competitive food service grant that you just got approved, $15,000. So that's Stacy's learning all about food service, and I talked to Kathy today from Corvallis, and she's going to be working with you closely on all this.
Great.
So, and she knows all that. Any questions on the grants? I think they're current. Okay. Food service, my favorite topic. I projected based on 1 month's activity and looked at the number of days that will be served and multiplied all that out, and the participation is still about the same as it was last year, 60%. So using that figure and what we're getting, because you're a community program where everybody is free, you can take the rates that the state is going to pay you and multiply it out by the number of days and roughly project your revenue. I mean, it's not going to change much. I can tell you that right now. You know, the Corvallis contract went up this last year, but that was offset by the analysis of the food service program with Kaylee is full-time, and then Josh is half-time rather than 2 full-time people there. So that's offset that increase, and to me, that's more efficient there, and Kaylee's doing a great job. So you can see where we're at. It's projecting around a 60,000 transfer again from the general fund, and hopefully it stays that by the end of the year. And we'll go from there. Any questions on the food service?
I had a question about trying to find it in the document now. If we had budgeted quite a bit more than, I think we budgeted $100,000.
It's always budget high on the transfer.
I was just looking at that and they
You know why?
projected to be 60.
You budget high in that transfer because if you need it, then you don't have to go through a supplemental budget and or transfer for some other place, and plus it helps your fund balance at the end. I mean, you could transfer that money all over to the food service for there, but once you transfer money from the general fund to the food service, it becomes federal dollars. It loses its identity. So you only want to transfer what you need. You don't want to have to do the reports to the state, which I'm doing to finish everything up. But you don't want to have a profit in there because then you have to do more reports. So that's why it's 100,000. Just to be safe. the transfer from transportation from the general fund into the bus reserve, by law, you have to, because you're 90% reimbursed, you have to at least transfer 90% of your depreciation into a bus reserve fund to replace the buses. You can't use that money as to support your operational program. We here in LC, and I've always done it, I always budget transfer 100% of the depreciation, because where are you going to get the other 10% to buy a bus when you replace it? So you might as well transfer the whole depreciation. So the transfer in the general fund to the bus reserve is the amount of depreciation that you will be reporting to the state, exactly to the penny.
How many years have they depreciated it?
Yeah.
Mm.
They don't give you 7,
Yeah,
6,
yeah.
they give you 10.
10, that's it.
That is it. And
Keep
you
it
have to,
running.
and another thing, we do the monthly report, and Stacy's gonna be getting that monthly report, and, as you know, you have to track your sports and your non-instructional miles, and they subtract that from your expenses before they give you your reimbursement, so just hard life. Yeah. Debt service. Taxes come in October. This is just estimating based on budget, but I know, based on, how we budgeted, we tried to keep the rate correct. Remember, we went through that. You don't want the rate to go up and down, so it's around $1 per thousand. And so you'll have about 34,000 here, which is what we plan on that schedule. Capital projects. You have in the regular 400, you have, as of now, is 226,000. Ignore that 198. I was talking to Bren, that will be gone, because even in the 430, which shows 72,000, I just ran it and I talked to Bren on that. There's 31,000 now, and those dollars are also encumbered. So all the dollars in 430, which is your seismic grant, and all the dollars in 410, which is your bond, those have been accounted for. So I think you're having your meeting, closeout meeting tomorrow on everything. That'll leave around 200 and some thousand available capital project. Okay, before you transfer another 200,000. Okay. Any questions on that? Last but not least is your unemployment. We haven't got the third quarter bill yet, so I have no idea what the cost of what they paid for summer instructional assistance. I know everybody filed, so I have no idea. That'll give you a good feel what it is. But what I said during the budget, near the end of the budget, with this reserve, I have not included any unemployment in the salaries to move back in here to offset part of that 200, because there would have been about another 70,000 that was put in here. But I have not done that through payroll, because you have this, but you might have to do it again in the next budget cycle. Okay. PERS is the last one. Reserve, those are dollars that were just sitting there in a liability. I moved them over in the PERS reserve, and I don't know if you read the paper where PERS rates are going to go drastically up in a couple of years. So until everybody dies, it's on tier 1 and tier 2. It's going to be that way. That's just the way it is. It's a known fact.
So much honesty.
I am. I'm transparent. That's what causes it.
Yeah.
So these dollars are there to help offset that. You know, and some districts have put more money in there, but it's something you can think about. But you have both the fund balance and these reserves to plan. And like I told Stacy and before, are using money each year, and you need to plan You have to get your revenues balanced with your expenditures sometime.
Soon.
Well, you need to have a plan. That's what I keep telling Stacy. It's a 2 to 3 year plan and how to get there. And that's between the board and the business manager and superintendent. That's my report.
I have a question about that, the unemployment reserve. So we've been able to use that to pay for all of the claims so far. Then you mentioned that for July and August, we don't know yet.
July, August, September.
And so my question is, for this next year, those claims in July and August, there won't be money set aside for those.
No, well, I don't know how much they are. They might be in part of that reserve already.
Okay.
You will know by the time the budget is being developed, how much you're spending in this fiscal year. And then I would personally look at what is my ending fund balance? Do I need to add to it? Or do I need to put a little in every year so I can maintain such and such?
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing because they said there's enough funds there to cover fiscal year 25, 26, but then we have that big chunk of the summer that's fiscal year 26, 27.
I wish I could have a crystal ball
I-
to tell you what that bill is. But when you just to give you history here, people forget history. When I first came here, we were getting $40,000 bills because you just did that reduction. And so that 1 year I was here, we paid almost $200,000 in unemployment claims from people that were let go.
Which we need to be.
And
Thank
so
you.
it just say if you went
Moving
through
forward.
this such and such. Whenever you do reductions, you have to make sure you have enough dollars for unemployment. And
It
with
is
the law
more-
right now, people, non-licensed people can claim unemployment during certain periods.
And it is more beneficial for our district to do self-pay versus the other option.
Well,
that
the other,
some-
the other one takes out of your payroll and you put it over here.
Right.
In there, and they're making the interest.
Okay,
That was my big gripe.
yeah,
And so my thing is, if you have a reserve, you're making your own interest and putting it in the fund rather than.
based on their
unemployment. Them
annual
having-
amount, their
Yeah.
annual percentage, okay.
You can do the same thing by being self-serve versus going through the state. You just have to make sure that you monitor your reserve.
And monitor any potential reductions
Right.
moving
Pay
forward.
attention to the numbers. That's it.
It's
But
just, it's penciling out the numbers.
I don't have any questions, but I will say thank you for everything that you have done for our district.
Absolutely.
Audits, the processes, getting things written down, guiding us through hard conversations around things.
Well, I think I can, anybody can say about what they've done or whatever, but I think right now, I think it's fairly clean. I'm wrong.
I did,
think it's fairly, the systems are in place and people feel comfortable with the systems. I know Stacy's new and that, and, you know, they have different process. People come in with that and they can look at them and make changes. We did them for what we knew at the time.
Mhm.
That's how you do things.
when we had our work session with Kristen, it was brought up and maybe even help us recall the check.
Yeah.
It was
Famous checks.
the famous, the famous checks. Our recollection at the table was within our audit, it was recommended that you send that information, and she was kind of shocked by that. Has there been any
Well,
clarification on that?
Can I discuss history here?
Understood.
I have never sent out checks before in my life until, even in the other districts I've done, until I came here.
Mhm.
And it was requested the checks be issued to the board.
Mhm.
And auditors now are very sensitive because of fraud and various things. And so one of the things that they requested for transparency, the famous word transparency and government oversight.
Hmm.
So that we are not just doing everything behind there, that you would be issued the checks
Okay.
and the deposits on a monthly basis.
Okay,
And
so we weren't mistaken in that.
no, you weren't.
Okay.
And we agreed to send it out to you earlier and part of the consent agenda where I did the internal control.
Was the, yeah,
Rather than having them submitted in the board packet and being, the focus being put on the checks rather than on policy driven.
correct.
And
Okay,
that's why we did it. And it doesn't, I do the bank recs on the first or second day of the month. Bren runs the report, sends it to Laura, and after I've done the bank recs and I reconcile all the liabilities, and that's gonna be one of my requests to the new business manager. Those things can be done in the first week. They're not put off. And then you guys, for your review, then you can ask questions about, you have every right to ask a question about any expense.
I
The
just,
public information, that's the way I look at it. But I've never issued the checks.
until that
Yeah,
request.
Because I guess I've worked for bigger districts and it's just been part of policy, so.
She was
Did I
shocked
answer
that the,
that?
kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, she was shocked that the auditors made that suggestion.
Yes, that I kind of left questioning
You know what?
whether I had misunderstood.
I was an auditor for a few years before I went into this world, and it's just a different world that they're in. It was more trust between each other, I guess. And I don't know. That's just the way
And maybe
I've
it's
asked
a
other
shift,
districts, and they don't have to do it.
a practice shift with transparency being the new buzzword.
It is.
Mhm.
It's just like with the ODE, you have to submit everything on everybody. So, I have no problem with it. We send it to you.
Yep.
We should have nothing to hide whatsoever.
Right.
Just, it doesn't bother.
And operationally, we typically don't have too much question because it falls within.
I guess you're guilty. You don't want to send it out if you feel guilty about something. I don't feel guilty. I mean,
Right.
I just don't, I just, if you have a question, I want you to ask the
Mhm.
business manager.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that clarification.
Thank you for remembering that.
No, that was the history. Any online question? No more?
Oh,
Thank you, Don.
Thank you so much.
Done.
Best to you, your future endeavors.
We will miss you.
Oh, the next person will be perfectly fine. Hopefully
excited.
I set the framework for them to do it. They'll make it better. I always know that.
Fine.
And I'll
Nobody
let you
No
know.
question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next up is our safety
Ron.
committee report. Laura, do you have any?
I would say,
Speaking of safety committees, do you have anything to highlight outside of the report for the board?
No.
Any questions on the safety committee stuff?
Construction.
Finish the sewing all to take care of.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I went to go get into Evans's classroom today, which was one of the ones that didn't block.
It works, yep.
So, some of the stuff. taken care of, so. And others.
Was this where I read something about a change to yeah. What is this question about the gate secure at the high school parking lot? Can a locking gate be installed? I thought there was a locking gate back there.
Things in the safety committee was, originally there was discussion when they put up the fence that there would be a gate that went across the high school end, so that when staff came in the morning, then the gate would be closed for security. And then it never went up. And so Mr. Harris was just saying, that he still thinks that might be a good idea.
Point is that it would be secure board.
There's a, I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about it. There's a lot of questions I have.
Okay, okay.
Um,
For the security side of things.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of locking gates internally and then some areas where I still don't understand the thought process.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move right into new business. A quick question on this first one, the integrated programs.
Yeah.
Are you needing a board vote or is it notification to us? I can't remember what you
We
need in
have
this
to,
space. to
yeah,
submit.
it has to be, I actually think it has to be approved.
Okay,
And then we have to upload these minutes along with all.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The
Okay,
report is already uploaded, but we just have to add these minutes now.
perfect. Thank you. And we need to vote to
To approve it.
approve your plan.
So-
Okay.
And
your
this is
adopted plan.
honestly this is the report, the annual report from prior year.
Yeah.
So, but we have to go through that process. And this is a really quick summary. I don't have the whole document in here. We don't have to do that. Integrated programs. So that's high school success, student investment account or SIA, EIIS, that little $600 one, that early interventions, and early literacy. So all of those combine. However, the reporting on early literacy is a separate grant reporting process, but you still report on all of these together. ODE's annual report consists of 2 narrative questions, and then throughout the year, we obviously have to report expenditures and overall reflection to these narrative questions, and make sure that we're hitting the targets on our progress monitors. So, annual report narrative 1. The question was, as you review your progress markers and overall reflection responses, reflecting on that plan implementation, how do you see your progress contributing to the outcomes and strategies in your plan and your longitudinal performance growth targets and local optional metrics? Discuss at least one outcome where you've seen progress in the implementation. So a little bit challenging for me because I wasn't here and I didn't write this last year, but I did get to sit down at LBL with their liaison, kind of help me through what was written and then basically our interpretation of that. So the progress marker PM12 focuses on financial stewardship. With our change in leadership moving forward, we still plan to align all expenses directly to that strategic plan to ensure the resources are used with maximum impact. To accomplish this, we will establish clear RTI systems within the master schedule to better manage inventory and staffing, while also providing professional development that equips staff with the skills and tools needed to deliver on these priorities. They accepted that. Narrative 2, where have you experienced barriers, challenges, or impediments? Our district's 9th grade on track success is lower than expected. This is again from last year. We will continue supporting an academic advisor position with strategic family engagement. The advisor currently provides frequent check-ins, planning meetings, family meetings, multiple family outreach events, building strong accountability, and home-to-school partnerships through tracking interventions and individualized pathways towards success. I missed a line. Can't read. Through tracking systems, success planning, and intentional engagement, students will receive early interventions towards success. Families will be more engaged and informed, and students will build confidence in navigating high school expectations. Moving forward, the district will expand partnerships with the family support liaison, ESD behavior consultants, and community engagement initiatives to sustain and grow this success. And narrative 3, our district's 4-year graduation completion rate fell short of the 52% goal with an actual rate of 35%, due in large part to high turnover at the leadership level, limited alignment across systems, and the absence of a common vision among staff and community. In response, we're engaging in a strategic planning process with the board and the community, staff, and students to establish a shared aligned vision for student success and strengthen systems that will support improved outcomes for all learners. One thing to explain on this, it was hard for me at the beginning to understand what this meant. 4-year completion rate, if anyone leaves our school and doesn't enroll in another school, they're counted as our dropout and that they didn't graduate. even though they were not in our system. But if they started freshman year and they did not graduate with that 4-year cohort, that goes against us.
Well, and I think wasn't this last year the final cohort that included our online?
So and there's a
Graduate.
lot. Mhm.
So we should see our rate significantly
so.
increase
I-
moving forward.
I think so. I mean, we've lost 30,000 students in the state of Oregon. Just, they're not enrolled anywhere.
They're lost.
They're just gone.
So,
So,
just so I understand also, they unenroll and they get a GED, still doesn't count, correct?
correct.
Because the GED is not recognized as a
It's a
as a
diploma.
diploma. And then I think that's something to be considered also.
Right. It doesn't
And
mean that,
Doesn't
yes,
mean they didn't succeed or that
And
they
get on
didn't
the next step,
continue to go to their
yes.
next step.
correct.
I was gonna ask that question about the online program, but that makes sense. But then when we look at our graduation rates, like how we're
How,
doing.
like with the kids here in our
0.
building, correct. That's
We're
a
doing
totally different
60.
number. Yes.
Far above the 52%, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Way above.
So that should significantly improve next year.
I think so.
I think that should significantly tell the ODE that they need to change their standards. But
Absolutely.
It is real. It's a weird metric because it's misleading.
yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
Well, and the people in the community look at that number and freak out,
Yes.
not
Well,
understanding the
right.
cohort and
And why
all
send your
of
kids
those.
somewhere?
Oh, exactly.
Yes.
when you
No,
don't
it's
understand the whole picture of it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
not setting districts up in general, not just LC for success in that
right.
space.
And a lot of small schools are seeing these huge numbers because only a couple kids leave, and that is a huge percentage drop.
Up there, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, yes. Okay, as we move down, this is really hard. I just shared it with you. It's a screenshot of all the progress markers, all the ratings across the year, and at the end of the year, the final quarter. Basically, I had to indicate no change because I don't know yet. If it was medium or high, it was just safe to say either the same or no change observed, because I don't have enough information to make that call. Okay. Do you guys have any questions on this?
Make a motion to approve the LC School District 24-25 Integrated Programs Annual Report as presented.
Fair second.
I'll second the question.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any additional conversation, questions? Or can we do roll call vote for us? Lauren?
Yes.
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 Yeah. All right, next up is the superintendent hiring process. So as previously discussed, in 2025, in May of 2025, the board had intended to go out for an interim superintendent. Well, the board had long discussion on whether to go out for an interim superintendent search or a permanent superintendent search. In order to get an interim candidate and continue to look for a successful long-term superintendent candidate, the board had decided to go through the process of interim to OSBA search. In that process, found Ms. Metzen, found Stacy, and there's a desire for a permanent position. So with that, the board can decide to pivot and abandon the process of going out for a superintendent search. The board could still go out for a superintendent search that you would be open to apply for. I'll save my opinions for my discussion. I'm just being factual right now in our processes. But the board can transition at any point that they feel they would like to in how they do that. It does require a decision, a vote on around whether to move this position into a full-time superintendent. We would need to decide when that would start. So you'd have to go through negotiations. The board does need to set a ceiling compensation rate. That ceiling compensation rate is compensation together with stipends. It does not include all other benefits. So just want to make sure that those two things are separate in that space. And then the board would need to decide on who negotiates that. Historically, your board chair has been the person that has done that. That is not a requirement. It can be anybody on the board to do the negotiation. It is a one-on-one negotiation. The takeaway is that the superintendent can meet with somebody like COSA and evaluate that. And then your board representative can discuss with your business manager or get advice from another board member. You cannot necessarily call and check in with each person to go around that. But overall, I think I've covered all of what we're required to do. And I think what my opinion would be that we should start with a motion to then move into discussion to follow formal process in that. So that discuss, yeah, we can amend as needed. We can go back and scratch them, but it does follow a formal process to go through that kind of process in one space.
And can we refine that motion or can we make a second action item to choose who the negotiation will be?
You can separate it into multiple votes
Can we
if
do
you'd like
that?
to, yes.
Okay.
You
I
could,
have a
you,
question, just for clarity purposes of contracts for superintendents. I realize most of them renew in the summer. So the question would be, would it be?
June
if we-
30th, yeah.
Yeah, if we chose to do an initial contract earlier than that, for permanent, would we want that to be like a 3.5 year or 4.5 year contract to end in the summer?
So you could start so you would have to end your interim. So we'd have to, as a board, we'd have to end an interim one and take a full-time one unless there was discussion. I think that's part of the
Well, yeah,
that would be the negotiation process, but you could start.
Like, if we made a motion to enter a process with a, say, start date of January 1, 2026, just a random date.
Yeah.
Then during the negotiation, would we set the term and length of the contract, or would that be something we have to look at? then?
You can openly do that, yes. I mean, if the board wanted to say, like, would like to set those parameters between the negotiation of the superintendent and the board member, yes. I mean, we could set it as October 15th is when the new one would start, if that's what this board wanted to do. Historically, our track record as a board has been to do a 3-year contract. At times, there's just been a 1-year add-on to extend it to keep it at a 3-year level. Sometimes it stayed at the 3-year level and just made some modifications with the same end period at the same time, not tacking on an extra year. So there's definitely different variations, but each year you get to look at that too. Each year you would evaluate kind of that contract and what you want to do in that space, especially if your superintendent had requested to your board chair, like they wanted like an evaluation of compensation or things like that, and then you would bring that back up to the board. Did I answer that at all for you, or did I just muddy the water?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because for me, like thinking about making a motion would be more in the realm of probably, thinking about that timeline for the benefit of the district and the administrator as to when that contract renews.
Okay.
Not necessarily when it begins, but if that can be a different time, then I think that's okay.
Let me get one more step into this. Part of the reason for the motion this evening is the board needs to decide whether they move into a full-term contract with the interim superintendent or if they go out for the OSBA. So that search process,
Okay.
that's the first decision of the board.
So
Does
I
that
think
make
I
sense?
would like to start the ball rolling with a motion to end our interim superintendent, rolling Miss Knudsen into a permanent superintendent role. Do I need to add more to that?
I think,
There's no dates included in that, so that would violate. We don't have a contract in those.
yeah, I
spaces.
think what we would.
We
have
would
do
need to
is-
step into that contracting.
I
Okay,
think my motion would, like, thinking of your motion, not
Well,
saying mine.
so there's a motion. Is there a second? on
Well-
it? Well, okay.
go from interim to full-time and start the negotiation process for the new contract. Do we need to put dates in that? That's what he was asking. Do we need to put an end date now?
No, you don't have to put an
Okay.
end date now.
So I would just like to start the process of transitioning from an interim superintendent position to a permanent superintendent role
And open negotiations.
and open negotiations.
So motion is just want to make sure I get it correct. Motion is to transition the interim superintendent into a full-time superintendent and open negotiations between delegated person and
Correct,
superintendent.
correct.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, let's open to discussion and questions.
So I was curious about back when we first started our discussion about hiring an interim. In public session, we were discussing we had a long discussion about what to do, and we ended up, and we'll hire an interim, and then at the end of that, or whatever the appropriate time is, at the end of that contract, we would have searched for and found a full-time, or sorry, I keep permanent superintendent, and I'm just curious what kind of responsibility we have to adhere to what we said we were gonna do. Cause I'm happy to abandon the search process at this point. But if we told people that's what we were gonna do,
Mhm.
do we need to do that?
So the board makes the decision on what they want to see in that superintendent. And this is where it gets into opinion. So we could stick to that and say, we want to go out to that OSBA. It is absolutely okay for the board to have gone out and hired an interim through that working process, decided to pivot. And there's like that mutual discussion and conversation of there's interest in full-time and not. Now, I would say that historically, doing this behind the community's back or not having those open discussions, or if things weren't aligning with the strategic values of the board, you would be completely correct. But we're not held to going out on that OSBA search. Additionally, this for my opinion does come into it. I think it is condescending and disrespectful if we have somebody that we really like, and I'm just saying this publicly for just so it's out there, to ask somebody who's an interim who we know is meeting our strategic values. We know the community is engaged. We've seen that, and then say, but we'd like you to still compete for this position. So that's my 2 cents on it. So
And
are
I
we
fully-
held to that? No, the board does get to change their mind.
Yeah, and I think I went over this thoroughly with OSBA in the beginning. I have really clear understanding. I think the other thing you have to look at is doing that with a pretense that we want to keep our interim is also causing people to spend time, energy, and their resources to apply for a position we're already looking to fill with someone. It's very ambiguous and probably not even honest, right? From my understanding in the process early on, it is the board's ultimate right to offer anyone a full-time contract at any time without, and by the way, we don't have to use OSB at all to look
No,
for any
we
candidate.
don't.
No sense spending them. Right.
Yeah.
I apologize. I do want to add one more thing. We do have a neighboring district that went through this situation as well. Looking back on that history, and I know not every single board does things perfectly. We all make missteps, but much of the same situation. They had kind of gone to that community of, we'll go out and we'll look for this, and then through transition, through leadership changes, through board changes, that wasn't something that they wanted to continue to move forward with. So we're not violating in that
Right,
space.
well, I remember when, and last time around, we were even discussing offering a contract without having done all the interviews, and Vince from OSBA said, you guys can do whatever you want. You don't
Yeah.
have to do any of this stuff. So like, we can do whatever we want. I just
But
feel
we
about
want to
like,
be also mindful and respect the community and the desires. But again, if we just go on our current pulse point, we would be doing a disservice to our district to disrespect Ms. Benson in this space.
Right.
Knowing that her desire is to help build and continue to improve our district. And I think the community is in line with that. I think our staff is in line with that. I think our students are in line with that. And I feel like our board is in line with that.
right, and to build on that, like last time around when we did a formal search, Ms. Benson was among our top candidates that
Absolutely.
time. So I mean, there's no sense in doing it again. Even
Understood.
just
Someone else can do it. I'm not doing it. We're not.
we've already done
did a
that.
great job.
Yeah.
Very
It's
seldom
been done.
or anything. I would say this, I think, I agree with the motion in the discussion. I believe we need to come to a consensus of time frame. How much time to negotiate, what that role looks like, and for the board to reconvene. We are, mid-October. I think for me, unless there's a reason otherwise, that we should look at like a January 1 start date for that position, so that we have a month of negotiating and a board meeting that doesn't have to be rushed to make a vote on those decisions. But if we want to do it sooner for any other reason, I'm not opposed. I just think whoever's going to do that, for Stacy's opportunity to go back and forth with whatever she has to, I mean, we're not looking for her to go anywhere, but I don't think we also need to rush this in 2 weeks, personally. But if there's a benefit to doing it sooner,
It would not be uncommon to have somebody negotiate and present it at the next board meeting.
okay.
And then in the negotiations, have that discussion on when that contract starts.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cause
Yeah.
you don't have to put a length of time in it, you could put start date and end date, so it'll be like, whatever the start date is with 3 years to that June 30th, or whatever that looks like, so.
Yeah,
if
again,
that's-
I have no, like,
But to that rush point, I mean, to your.
yeah, I have no really.
Would that be an
either way.
executive
I
session?
just know that when we did this the first time in June and July, right, it was very rushed. There was a lot of meetings. There was a lot of, this is the beginning of a school year. It's her first year here. Whatever's comfortable for you, really.
Yeah, there's there any
I'm totally
reason,
fine with going this route. I mean, and doing whatever we have to do. I just think I want to be amenable to both parties and the board's time, just to make it easy.
yeah,
I
is
just
there
like
any
the
reason to rush or not rush from your standpoint?
No.
I
I
would
mean-
wanna say just in fairness of making sure the compensation aligns with duties. And sooner rather than later on that is appropriate. Nobody should be worked more than they're being paid. My 2 cents.
Yeah.
Alright, so this motion that stands is to move from an interim to a full-time superintendent and start negotiations. There's been a motion and a second, we've had discussion. Any other questions on that section?
No, seems pretty clear.
No modification.
Go for it, Laura.
Yes.
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 Yes. Now we need two more things. This can be bundled or not, doesn't matter, again. But we need to decide on who is going to negotiate the contract and the ceiling level of compensation, so salary plus stipends. I'm gonna just hold on 1 second, I'm working it. Compensation is, yes,
I
salary.
would just like to ask a question first to the board. Is there any conflict of interest with anyone on the board in negotiating the contract for Stacy? Via relation or personal relationship?
I have to declare that she's family, but I don't think it's close enough in as far as OGAC to, I don't think it's conflict of interest.
I don't have.
I mean, I'm
but-
asking not
because
really
the difference-
legally,
the
I'm
difference would be
asking
that
more
we would-
personally.
It's not my
Oh, yeah.
husband, it's not my
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not my
that's fair.
So I
sister.
just more mean more personally, emotionally. I mean, I'm not saying there is. I just want to make sure that whoever we nominate to do it feels like they can just be unbiased and.
Well, she does have ultimate control over my kids' grades.
I do not have a conflict, but I would like to state that I would ask that I do not do this contract negotiation. It was a great contract negotiation the first time. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it thoroughly. This is my last space in a leadership area. I've done all of the contract negotiations. I would ask that the board consider somebody new to learn. I'm happy to mentor and have a conversation on the side. It can only be one board member though, doing the negotiation. But I just would ask that it not be.
Well, it's kind of why I asked the question, because I would make a motion to nominate Jamie to negotiate the contract with Stacy for the board and represent the board. I was doing that, I'll make that motion. And I'll wait.
Is there a second? I would second that.
Okay, and then I'll just explain why. I think for me, because you're the vice chair, co-chair, and you are learning that, I would like you to go through that process with Stacy. So, but I wanted to make sure that there's no.
I do
Right.
not feel like there is any conflict of interest in me doing though. That I feel better stating on record that there is family relation, but not close enough to be in any violation.
And just because.
For the record?
Yeah.
Because it's a public meeting,
Yeah.
ultimately the board votes and sees all of this package anyway.
Mhm.
It's not like you're making the ultimate decision, but.
Yep. But no, I
I'm-
don't feel like I have a conflict in that.
So that's.
I will definitely
But-
need you.
I would kind of like to do it, but not enough that I just want to see it get done.
It'll get done. I'm positive of that. Jamie will get it done. What was the second thing? I know we haven't voted yet, but.
Ceiling.
with
The
his
ceiling.
ceiling comment.
I would love to be able to have a bit of time to ask the questions of what's appropriate for all of those different hats. And from a business manager standpoint, with Don's years of experience, maybe before he leaves us, to really get a positive feel and understanding of what that looks like before
Well,
I
I
step
think-
into that.
Yeah, but I
Amount.
think if we do okay, well, we should just vote on the motion on the table
Yeah.
probably before we discuss. Or have other conversations.
Except
about
the
that.
separate motion.
Any other discussion on that piece? Okay, go ahead, Laura. Lauren,
Yes.
Russ.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so in the compensation space,
What is the current limit?
I was, no, you're just fine. No, I was just, like mine's. We're currently compensating, at an annual salary rate of 140,000. With an additional special ed administration, food service and K-12 principal stipend to be compensated at 10,200 per year. And the district will pay on behalf of the interim, the superintendent. We currently, pay the employees contribution to the Oregon Public Employees per system.
Well, I have done a little research on this and I would feel comfortable making a motion for a overall package not to exceed 185,000 for the position requested with the board's ultimate approval or recommendation.
And that's with
be
stipends,
with-
not benefits,
Right.
correct? Okay.
So there's a motion, sorry, I want to restate that just really quick. There's a motion on the table to consider a compensation package of not to exceed $185,000. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's have some discussion on that.
I would love business manager input.
Yeah,
in
it's
that.
hard to know, Russ, what, you've done research on this, where did you pull that information from?
Well, I mean, I think you can't ever get an exact number, but that's part of the negotiation. But I think when we're looking at per se up to a $45,000 increase in salary, with our budgetary concerns and then looking at the roles that are being filled, I think it's a place where I ultimately feel the board would be comfortable. But I also look at similar sized districts. Problem is, it's really hard to find a person filling all these hats. And then quantify that into how much time is spent in each area and how much of that is extra. You know, we do have a district of 220 some students and it's a small district. I wanted to honestly go higher, but I was afraid I wouldn't get the board to agree.
So I would say, I just would,
Ah,
I didn't do the research, so thank you for doing that. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I do think there's a pointed statement to be made here. If we remove all of the, additional tasks, so SPED, food service, and K through 12 principal services, and had to hire those individually, we know that we've gone out for our SPED administrator before in the past without luck. And actually paid almost the salary of the previous superintendent a couple of times ago. Plus benefits. So we know that we'd pay significantly going with the ESD because it would go into our the Title II space, not the level 2, not level 1 space. Additionally, food service, that may be something that can pass off, maybe not. It depends, kind of like what that looks like. You're restructuring your food service department right now. There's opportunities in that area. And then the K through 12 principal piece, again, while there might be opportunities in the future, that's not an opportunity today. I'm comfortable with that ceiling in that space, but I ask that whoever is negotiating have some pre-meetings with the business manager to say, what are the impacts to these pieces on the budget? Knowing that having to hire four things, a superintendent and all the others, we know that this is a positive impact to the budget overall. But I think doing our due diligence from where we're at with the budget and supporting you in negotiating, I think you need to have that conversation. Which is totally allowed and something that we've always done in the past, so.
Yeah, and I just, like, again, I think it's a tough call. But, does that give you enough room to negotiate without having to reapproach the board? And that's my.
I would
Point two.
I would say that that is an acceptable cap. Again, I just don't want to even think about establishing a number to start at without having those discussions with the business manager and understanding the impacts of this negotiation on our current budget.
I mean,
But no, I think it's a reasonable ask.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, it's good.
$45,000 annual increase, but knowing that that's a fraction of just one position that we'd be going out individually for. That's,
And coming into this question, I have no idea, so I'm glad that Russ, that you had something to go on. I have no idea what
yeah,
cap would be, other than you had said it astronomically high.
I mean, the average salary for a superintendent in Oregon right now is $160,000. That's like the average, right? But those bigger districts are paying like 185 to 200, but we're talking about like Portland or Clackamas, some of these big districts.
And they actually.
What
do
I'm
this work.
looking for though, I mean,
Yes.
I think ultimately we still have to be able to justify this to our community.
yes,
And,
the budget down.
they report this publicly, right? So how you frame it is important. This is a public meeting. I'm not afraid to say it, but if all of a sudden you have the superintendent in LC Oregon, that's the fourth highest paid superintendent in the state, it looks,
Suspicious.
well, it may look interesting. I don't think suspicious, but hey, so what I would say is if we're at 160,000 for the average, you can just Google it, ZipRecruit, whatever you want, is 160,000 for superintendent of Oregon. And we're adding on 3 other duties. I think having that flexibility. I mean, I can't define how much time was spent by a prior person, but I can say that I always commented, I don't want you working on the weekends at home for free. I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that. And I know that some of your tasks carry over to off business time, right? And I think the community understands that. I know the board understands that. And I'm willing to argue that point for the community because they don't fill probably 4 roles at their job every day in 8 hours. So anyway,
I just want to add one more thing.
cold again.
I think also, I would say that that's high. I would feel like, whew. However, we have not had an experience. We have not had the benefit of experienced and committed superintendent to this district in years. I think the investment we're making, it's a two-way street, right? If you don't compensate and you don't commit in a financial aspect that impacts somebody's livelihood, they will go elsewhere. That they have every right to do so. And we know superintendents can kind of write their own ticket right now because districts need them a lot, and they really want the benefit. They want the beneficial and
Well,
the good ones. So what I'm saying is,
yeah.
I'm in support of this because at the same time I want quality and I want the experience and all of those pieces, and I want to support that longevity of the relationship for our district, our students, our staff. Everybody benefits when we invest in that.
We're also looking at a time that we all know if we're offering a 3-year contract, there's rampant inflation. The cost of living goes up every year. To be honest, the board gets highly encumbered with these decisions because it's hard after the fact to go back and change, right? I really, Stacy, I believe in you. I started this process with you. You have not failed to impress. And so for me, I want to give you the opportunity to earn that and demonstrate why that's important to you and us. And ultimately where we come down, remember this, for me, it was a comfortable ceiling. But where we come down is where we come down.
Yeah, this number does seem high, and we want to be cognizant of the noise that came from Corvallis recently when they had to do a whole bunch of budget cuts and their superintendent was getting paid quite a bit. There was a lot of noise around that, so we have to be cognizant of that. But I do definitely agree with Christine that I want to spend the money on. This seems important. Like I've talked about like longevity and having stability is like one of the most important things for kids in the school, and that's worth quite a bit in my mind.
And if I recall, that time we did go out searching for a sped director. I wanna say we were looking at spending $85,000 to $90,000 a year.
I was just a sped teacher.
That
That's a sped teacher, that's not the sped director.
What's 145, not including benefits?
Right. So, I mean, you look at just that. And
And
we're
that was
only
2 years
asking
ago.
for half of that increase. I think we're all being very reasonable in this thought process.
Yeah. I'm okay with going forward with a vote on this.
Or? Fine.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, as comfortable as that is to talk about in public, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nothing like
You
throwing
all
everything
did.
out there.
I know.
I think ultimately we spent twice that digging a hole in the ground and getting nothing done. You know, what people don't understand is if you don't invest, I mean, we're at a make or break point in this district and we all know it. We don't invest in our leadership. Who's going to invest in our school?
Or we might not have a district.
Right. So, I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe in it. I pay taxes in this town. I have kids in this school. I know what it costs to educate, but you know, let's do it. Let's get it done.
Okay, you have 3 motions. Do you have what you need? You have what you need.
I have what I need. Have what I need.
Okay, well, speaking of keeping doors open, then let's move right into our Division 22
Vision
standards.
22.
There's
Oh, the lovely, I know, we're gonna go fast, K-Res. Division 22, every year, we have to go through this compliance report, so reflecting on 24-25. And there's several categories, so looking at high-quality learning experiences for all students. We are in compliance in all of those. Do you want me to read through each of these? Are you, okay?
No.
Okay,
You
that's why we
heard
get
it
it ahead of
last-
time.
You heard them last year. Okay. As you get into aligned and focused educational systems, those are all in compliance. I'm going to scroll down.
There's one that's waived.
Yes, the
27,
two of them.
28.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah,
78.
there's a couple of those through the 27-28 year.
Okay.
Get to the next. So engaged partners and communities, we're in compliance with those. As we get down to safe and inclusive schools, 581-022-2223 Healthy and Safe Schools Plan. So this is the one that we are not in compliance with, but we are implementing an approved action, corrective action plan. I've been working with ODE on this. So updating the ODE provided water testing template and fixture ID. I shared that with you, but going through and identifying every single fixture, anywhere water comes out in this building, there's an ID to it, making ID tags. And this last week, we water tested every single one of them. Those get shipped out to water labs. We will get those results back and they will be put on that public spreadsheet. So the community knows if there's anything that's above 15 parts per billion, then we will do a remediation and all of that will be communicated to the stakeholders. So that is underway. And the other one is same situation. It's asbestos, the asbestos management plan, and it's being updated, working with Brian at ODE. There's quite a few requirements, but they have some updated templates. We will take all of our data, plug that in, so all of the correct pertinent information is displayed in a way that anyone could read that, and it will be posted to our website, along with the HAS plan as well.
Was the problem with that just that the data wasn't accessible?
For the water, there was no data, and it was also not accessible. And the asbestos management plan, I'm actually working with Brian to find out what wasn't in compliance, but it's not.
It's
So
not
we're
about
reading-
what's in the school, it's about how it's,
Uh,
how the data.
the asbestos is about how it's presented and what information is there. The water testing is just that there was not water testing.
It's, I just saw something on this, like 75% of the Portland schools are over the limit right now in Portland School District, so it
Oh,
isn't something to be taken lightly.
It's not, yeah.
Especially in an old building, so I
There must
appreciate you
be.
doing it.
A costly repair.
There is a grant, so
Okay.
as the water testing is reimbursed, so there's a whole separate spreadsheet that looks
Okay.
much like what I shared with you, but there's more to it.
Okay.
And we can fill all of that out and submit that to ODE, and they go through a grant process and they reimburse.
Okay,
So that cost is covered, but it's really important. We
absolutely.
don't want lead in our water and accessible to our kids or our staff. So those are the only two pieces in this that were not in compliance and in process of remediating.
Things that were there last year clearly have been fixed, because they're
Yeah.
not there anymore.
Do we have to approve this
We
with
do
a
have to
vote?
vote and approve, yep. So is there a motion to consider this evening?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-25 compliance report of, shouldn't it be 25-27?
No, because we're reporting on previous year. Yeah.
2024-25 compliance report for Oregon Public School Standards.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, Laura, I'll put that one to you.
Yes.
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 Yes. We're good. We're in.
Christine.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And we stayed that once a meeting.
All right, up next, our class of 2026 senior trip proposal. Do we have somebody giving the proposal?
Is he on? I don't know who that
I
is.
don't-
He's managing.
I've read it.
didn't
I
know
think
if
it's
there's
just-
certs
I'll
one.
make a motion to approve the running of the Airbnb in Sun River for the senior class trip for June 8th to 11th.
I'll second that motion.
How many kids are going on this? That's the only question I had. I looked at the thing, I was like, huh? As long as there's not like tons of more kids
What
than
is
there
there,
are.
6 kids?
I
Well,
think there's
that's-
not.
Wait,
Yeah.
most of them went last year.
I mean,
I mean, the goal is
But
that
it's
all of them
small
go.
class.
the hope, yes, is that they all go.
Last year.
There's 11 and there's 11 registered.
Yeah, so I mean, you never know what's gonna happen, but hopefully 11, hopefully all. That's not very many.
No, 11. I think, I don't know how many went
That's
this
small
last year, but I think it was close to all of them. 11, maybe
Is there
10.
some sort of educational component to this?
They're already
They're always,
graduated.
yeah.
Or is that,
Well, this already,
Do they
their
know
year's
what-
already over when they go, isn't it?
No.
No, but
seniors?
real close.
do they know what the educational component is at this time?
Typically, that's all mapped out because then it's reimbursable transportation and all of those pieces. As long as you have, I was gonna say that's, yeah.
That's usually what Sun River is.
It is great, yeah.
I
Typically that's
swear
what they
this
do.
last year's took place after their last official senior day, but.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
wrong. Maybe,
I think it did
And I
like
can't
after their
speak to what they're
official
doing, but I know they
senior
have
day,
an
yeah,
additional
you're correct. It just wasn't, it was.
right,
paid
it was in
back
the
for
end of the school year.
Hoping this would all be his proposal.
Well, we could ask if you want to ask
I-
more
I-
specifics, we
You
can
know,
get
as
that.
long as they're doing it.
Oh, Soren,
Good.
come on,
What?
the senior trip.
I know, I've been on one.
Well, I know, that's why I'm thinking out
I
loud
went
here.
to a
I was
bigger
not.
district. We
I
didn't
went,
do cool
yeah, we
things
had
like
20
that.
kids on my graduation.
I
Way
will
too
say I
many
appreciate
kids.
that there's likes to be a male and a female chaperone, that likes fine, this
Hey,
should be
chaperone.
within, looks like it should be within budget.
I think it's going above and beyond coming to us with this because it's
Yeah, I don't think
in-state
it was
travel.
last year.
It
So
is
I
in-state
think
travel. It
according
doesn't
to
require-
policy. it's
It
not
doesn't
required.
require, I think, we were talking and I said, let's get that done and let's just make everyone part of this decision and aware of what's happening and
Yeah,
transparency.
Maybe we
yes.
don't even need to vote. I think we did last year.
we didn't get a plan last year, I don't believe. I think we still vote just because it came to us and we'll give them that oversight and also they
And
put
it's
the
an-
work into it.
And it's an overnight. That's always nice to, have that oversight.
So there was, oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just looking at that, you said overnight, I'm looking at how many days. Cause when I chaperoned, it was
3
like
days.
4 days or something.
It was 3, right?
All right, so there's a motion, there's a second, we've had discussion. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Laura.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, we have no old business to discuss, but Jamie, before we exit new business, did you want to talk through the email we got from OSBA?
I have that in my board.
Okay,
comments.
never
I'll
mind.
just drop it
Yep.
there.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we're on to first reading of multiple policies. We've got lots of updates. The goal in this one is, are there any questions or clarifications you want to ask of the superintendent on any of these?
I do on one.
Okay, Victoria.
On 10E, IKF, we are adjusting back down to 24 credits. I know that the new standards for the 2027 graduating class is that personal finance and career exploration, 0.5 credits of each. My understanding, just last year, we adopted that in the form of just adding 1 credit to our total.
Okay. And not in the.
Curious why we are entertaining going back down to 24.
I believe, those would just count as one of the 3 social studies credits, the social sciences. I believe. So it's not an additional, I don't believe it's an additional credit unless Alcee wants to keep it as an additional credit.
But this is OSBA's policy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
This is their suggestion.
Right,
To
and I
take it-
I'm
think
looking here.
if
It's
I
on page
remember the
10.
the roadmap of that implementation, is districts
Mhm.
could do that, or they could
Mhm.
just add the 20, add the 1 credit. I thought that was a part of our discussion when we adopted the policy to begin with. And I was, again, just curious why we were going back, but either way, and the state standard is 24. If it meets requirements for 24, they are earning their diploma. I'm not opposed to pushing and asking for more, but I'm not against 24 either. Just curious.
Because it looks like they still have to have their higher ed, the personal finance and the higher education regardless. So you still have to have those half credits.
Right.
It's just.
Where
they're
they're tacking
adjusting-
them on, they're.
There's
But they're saying it counts like double count,
Yeah.
basically, in the transcript.
I just, like I said, it's more of a question of why we're reverting back. But
Like the state. Do that one.
I was gonna say, I actually don't know.
because
I don't know if there was a lot of,
February.
there might have been
Because
a
of
lot of
their guidance.
pushback
Yeah.
and then they realized this is actually part of the social sciences that can count, it can double count. I think that's where it came from.
Okay. And I knew it was it was a roadmap that I recalled taking a session on it, one of
Yeah.
our conferences, and I thought it was going to be district specific, which direction it went, but this is,
But I mean,
Good
we
for
do
me.
have the authority, just like years ago, I mean, we required that senior project was an additional, right? And so I think you
Oregon
guys,
City did that.
yeah, have the authority to do that.
I don't know, but I mean, anytime you throw in a random number when it's 6 for 4 years and it's 24 and then you make it 25, it probably just, because no one knows math anymore these days. Probably just throws everyone off. No, like we can't do it. Is it gonna be 24 or 28? I mean, it's not divisible by 4, so it doesn't work.
I'm not.
Sorry. That's that's the way YouTube would describe it. 3 + 2 is 5.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but 24, I think you'll get pushback if the state requirement is 24 and we require 25, and some student's gonna graduate and they say no, because you have 24, they're gonna throw a big fit.
I think
Yeah,
the way we got away with 25 years ago is a whole separate course,
Right.
you know, and it didn't fall in any of those categories.
Okay.
But that's just my interpretation. I don't actually
So
know
they
that.
just fine tuned it some more, adapted it to fit within current guidelines. Okay,
That's what
no
we're talking about.
no objection, no frustration, just curious. Because we
Curious about a
literally
lot of
just.
Just-
I have a question about that same one, under certificate of attendance.
Oh, yeah.
it says the board shall define criteria for a certificate of attendance. So is that something we have already? Or is that
Every
something we
school
will need to do?
has to offer that. And I actually, this came up last year and I didn't really understand what it was.
Been to school, but you didn't pay attention?
Essentially. So we can set up parameters and that's something I could reach out to OSB and see what
Well, it's got a link to.
some other
a little
ideas
thing
are.
to
Mhm.
What's
Discuss
the
what it
term,
should
Jake?
be.
It's the certificate of attendance. And what could
Page
constitute that?
6 of that.
I know we have to have that.
And there's a little link to tell us how to do it. But my
Mhm.
question is, do we already have that criteria at this school, or is that something we need to build? Or you will need to build? Well, it says the board will define criteria.
Might need to build it.
Build it, vote on
I don't think we have it.
You have that as one of our.
Mhm. But I don't know that it's defined. I
I
was
think
trying,
that's the
I
one
don't
that
think
we're
it is.
looking at. This is our current. one that we're-
current one.
that we're
Is this-
looking to.
Is this like the participation award? Like,
It is,
yes.
it.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
As they
There's
come
this
down,
guidance
it's-
from OSBA that has 7 pages of. what it's about.
I'm just gonna be super frank. I feel uncomfortable developing as a board the certificate of attendance.
Yeah.
That's not my skill set.
We have a modified diploma.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
got built-in state
Mhm.
parameters.
Mhm. If we're gonna go and adjust this, I would like to talk about an honors diploma.
I would agree
Yeah.
with you. When
Yeah, there you
the
go.
valedictorian one. I mean, not that necessarily we have, but I just mean like,
Like, but if, you
I'd
know,
like to, if we're gonna go lower, then why are we not offering higher?
Well, this isn't even a diploma. It doesn't even count. This is like the
Yeah.
I showed up award. Like, I get it.
But
'cause
90
you have some- like,
But as we
They
get
were
to
there
define
90%
the
of the
requirements.
time, they like,
Right.
they
addition
would not.
to things.
Could
So
be
we
that.
could say,
They
if you
wouldn't
want
need
this
that.
one, you still have to pass later classes.
yeah,
You want, same to say, it's the same
I'm
as.
just,
Like,
I would
maybe
need to
we should
definitely reach out for
not
some
make light
guidance from
of
other
it, but-
districts.
no.
see what-
I just.
Yeah.
And I think-
what it
Can you,
means.
can you see if that is under our adopted code since you have our one up right now?
Just
No, I'm looking at it too.
Can we just strike?
I
that
don't
off
actually
too?
see any kind of
Well, can you look at
requirements.
IKF right now,
Yeah,
aren't you, on our
On
adopted
our
one?
current adopted
Can you
one.
find that certificate of attendance in that policy and see where it's at? Can you just control F?
A modified diploma, an extended diploma, and a certificate of attendance which meet or exceed state requirements.
Yeah, it's.
It's in
not
there.
Much there.
Where did it go? Oh, right there.
We have it already in place.
I mean, it
Yes.
is, I just don't,
Well, I'm just saying, like,
like, it's in the policy, but it doesn't
Do we have defined
specify.
criteria?
maintained full-time regular attendance, sorry,
Nine-
maintain regular full-time attendance 19 for at least 4 years beginning in 9. But then I read that one somewhere.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna reach out to some other superintendents and just ask what's their.
Let's revisit that one.
Because it looks like we have it adopted right now, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense on what it is.
I think every district
Certificate
adopted it
of
because it was
attendance.
required.
Well, yeah, it just says you
Well,
have
it
to be
just
a
gives
regular
you-
full-time attender, which is defined in OAR, whatever.
Mhm.
No.
And then we can add whatever else we want.
Have
to.
maintained regular full-time attendance for at least 4 years beginning in grade 9. Do not satisfy requirements for a high school diploma, modified diploma, or extended diploma, and have documented history for students with documented history. The district shall annually provide parents or guardians of each of such students beginning in grade 5 or such documented history. Oh, that's information.
That's the same as this policy that we, from OSBA.
It is.
I don't know why. Well,
So-
look at this one.
Yeah, so we
It's,
just. need
it's because it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be
It's supposed to be
regular full-time
different-
attendance, yeah.
instead of a, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20 just links to what a regular.
It's
full-time
not being
attendance-
absent.
Sounds like we
the
need some more
10% of
guidance
school
on that
days.
policy overall,
students-
so.
Yeah.
We can take it back, I mean, we can bring it back for a second read, come back for a third read if we still want to, we don't have to, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
Want
bring
to
that
do-
one back to
Any
the
other
table.
questions on policies for first reads, just first reads?
Maybe. I don't agree with that. But. Oh, yes, I did have another question. The denial for virtual public charter school student enrollment. I'm assuming that this policy is coming into place because it directly affects district funding. Are we having issues with this? And honestly, do we really want to have this policy? Or do we want to have the stance that if they're not happy here, we don't want to force them to stay here? Why would we want to, why would we want to do that?
Why would it, right, either party? Yeah,
Either party.
Right.
Why would we want to make them stay if they're not happy here? Cause it's just gonna come with a whole lot of headache and problems and financial issues and all the things.
That's your quantity versus quality debate. right
So,
there.
I mean,
One
and
student,
it's only conditionally, I'm trying to read, it's really small.
when you
It's
have
not required.
More than,
Correct, Laura? Am I reading that right? Yeah, it's conditionally.
I mean, I think maybe it would be a really good problem to have that.
Mhm.
However, is it necessary?
Can I devil's advocate
Yeah.
that just really quick? What if we were at the space that we needed to? Okay, but I'm just saying, this doesn't say that we're required to deny it. It just gives us an option to if we need to.
But why would we need to? I guess that's my point is why would we need to deny somebody sending their student where they felt was
It
appropriate?
is for.
If
virtual
it wasn't, if it wasn't
Uh-huh.
for,
This is for virtual,
Virtual public charter
Right.
school.
not brick and mortar. This is-
Oh,
So this would be like for our learn.
well, not,
Well,
not,
right,
not
right,
for ours,
just-
though, but
I
not
don't-
sponsored by them. So if it's
Right.
some other, they want to go to some other online school. do
but
they wanna-
again, I guess this is where I stand
They-
in the parental choice
Yep,
and
they want us-
choice.
Go there.
And
Why
if they're gonna
do
be happy,
we-
they will probably achieve higher levels. They will have fewer behavior issues, in theory. They're where they wanna be. Is that what you're?
That's
trying to
kind
say?
of,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
why,
we don't
I mean, if we
have to.
can adopt it and it's there and we
Right.
could use it if we wanted to, but why in the world would we want to?
It
So,
was written in 2016. Did we even like have virtual school in 2016?
no,
No.
did not.
Right, but-
No, yeah.
well, and is that,
Because
a-
you have to, also, if you deny them, you have to provide them two other options.
Mhm.
Which would be like, come to our school or go to Learn at Home Oregon. And if they'd be like, I've already ruled those out. We don't want them here.
And we don't have to even do it. I mean, it's not required.
okay,
It's up to you guys.
okay, well, that's something to think about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't like having policies just for the
Sake
fact
of
that we have,
policies.
just don't having a policy.
Well, and again, it's unfortunate because there are individual circumstances for every family to make that decision. And I don't think that we should be allowed to dictate that in any way.
So you're requesting that we remove LBEA from,
Or keep it there and
This
have
is-
further discussion.
Did you read this?
Yeah,
Okay, so, I mean, this isn't attending our virtual school. This is
Right.
denying them to attend another.
No,
virtual
right.
school, Right.
right, but I,
Connections Academy or
Right, right.
Oregon.
but
If
why
it's
would we
3%,
do that?
Charter Academy.
And I think what Jamie's saying, right, is that that might
If they
cause
don't
more,
wanna be here.
right?
why-
Yeah. I mean, if I, as a parent, am making the decision that Alsea School District or Alsea Learn at Home Oregon is not for my student, I have reasons for that.
Yeah.
And it's my child's education. It's my responsibility to get them what they need. And if those needs aren't being met here, we should not be able to tell them no. I feel morally not okay with that personally. Nor do I think we would benefit by denying it. Yes, we keep the 180M,
right? Right.
but the
But
headaches and the hassle
Get both.
and the process and all the things that come with making somebody be where they don't want to be and forcing that and disrespecting our community and the
sure.
needs of a student.
This just goes back to losing students.
I
It
think,
just,
I
and,
think it
and
does.
I know
And
that this is the
protect them.
thing, this
It
is
is.
happening just over the hill,
Mhm.
in Albany.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard parents very uproared in Albany about this happening.
Well, I'm fine with just deleting the whole thing, but
Right.
I just,
Well, we don't
And
have
it's
to.
not required, so we
It's not
can.
required
We can.
policy.
yeah, so, I mean.
So if this is
I
first read,
misunderstood it.
I just don't,
I thought it was, when I first read it, that's why I asked if you read it, cause I thought it was
Nope.
denying kids from using our
Oh,
virtual school
God.
for residents. I was like,
Why would we
Oh,
do that?
just-
So,
anyway, sorry.
We don't have to do it.
does,
don't know.
does the board want to take it to does the board even want to take this policy to a second reading?
I don't.
I don't.
Then we need a motion to not take it to a second reading.
I'll make a motion to remove policy LBEAD1 from our list of first reads.
I'll second that.
I think we've had discussion on it. Laura, can you do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Good catch, yes.
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 Yes. Okay, any other on first reads?
Nope.
Okay, apologize, I have to use my phone, my computer's dead at this point. So we are gonna go into second read. We can do this a couple ways, we can discuss these first if there's any questions on these updates. Or we can approve in a batch, or we can approve individually. So I will.
Just two,
have-
right?
Yep, it's just two, and I will open it to the board to make a motion or discuss.
I will make a motion to accept second reads listed in section 11, including 11A and 11B.
All right,
I'll second that motion.
there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Laura.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, board comments.
I do have one, and I've drafted it just so
Oh,
I could think straight and not forget anything. It says, fellow board members, considering a sensitive situation happening with one of our neighboring districts, I wanted to take a minute to be sure you all had the opportunity to look at the email and guidance that came from OSBA on September 25th. Taking directly from that letter, I'd like to state free speech is a right and a responsibility, and it is bound by law. We as board members have taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the laws thereof, and the policies of the Alsea School District. This was quoted directly from policy BBBB. I highly encourage each of you to take the time to review the email from OSBA and the attached guidance documents, not only for board members, but for the staff and students as well. For the record, if anyone present or watching would like to research these as well, the policies mentioned are BBAA, BBF, BDDH, ACB, IB, IIBGAR, JBA, GBNAR, JFCF, JFC, and JFI. Policies can be found on the district website under our board tab. Please be mindful when utilizing social platforms personally, as once we are elected officials, it is hard to completely remove that hat. We want to make sure that we are not placing the district in any potential legal positions that would pull funds away from the classrooms, and we want to make sure that every student feels respected and safe in our district, despite what may be happening in the world. Thank you for working alongside of me to serve our district.
Thank you, Jamie.
September 25th.
Any other board member comment? All right. Any desires for future agendas? Future agenda items? All right. Then we will move right into key dates. October 16th is Thursday. Thanks. Okay. Great shakeout. So earthquake drill. I think we've had enough fire drills. Probably
Had a
haven't
lot
beat
of-
all
I
of
think
the
we've had all the-
standards,
yeah.
but outstanding. We'll have
Loaded
an
up.
earthquake drill this time. October 24th will be grading day, so there will be no school on October 24th. October 30th is going to be parent-teacher conferences with an early release for our students. November 7th is going to be a makeup day, so school will be in session. November 10th, we will have our next regular board meeting at 6 p.m. And November 11th, that is a Tuesday, we will have no school. with that, we will adjourn this meeting at 9:01 PM. Thank you.
Out the gavel. Sound in the world right now. It's
That's
not a
still
better
live.
sound in the world right now. So for this.
Listen, it was 3 hours, but
Yeah,
you know what?
I
That
know.
was.
I had.
For business tonight.
Like,
Oh.
you guys are exhausting my blood.
I'm looking like Catherine.
Thing today.
Personal
There
choice.
goes
Personal
my-
choice.
I'm trying to play these 2 gallons this morning. So.
Thank you, everyone. George, chat with you real quick and then.
I can walk out with you too. It's not
Okay.
anything border related.
Okay. This isn't.
negotiations so fast the next meeting yet? Yeah, Stacy, you should catch up sometime.
I know.
Uh,
I feel.
I'm just saying,